Were you in the White House building on 9/11?
I was the National Crisis Manager on 9/11.
You physically in the building that day?
Physically in the building. We evacuated the building.
Tell us what that was like that day.
Well, we evacuated the building early on, and the Vice President and a few other people went to the bomb shelter in the East Wing. And I kept my team in the
By the way, this is all in the Cheney movie that's coming up, right?
Yeah, which I haven't seen yet, so I don't know how accurate it is.
Okay. And who's playing you in the Cheney movie?
I have no idea.
It's not Brad Pitt.
No.
No. Okay.
No.
Okay.
But you know, we had high tech back then.
So Cheney went in the basement.
Yeah.
Bush was up in the air.
Bush was in Florida at a school. We had what we thought was state-of-the-art high tech. We had a wall with about 8 TV monitors, and I could hold a meeting from there, from the Situation Room. And so I had the Secretary of Defense and the CIA Director and the Deputy Secretary of State and FBI Director and everybody all in one meeting all day long. The beauty of that was they could stay in their command centers. And we ran the operation from there all day and did things that we had never done before. You know, like very early in the day, I said, let's ground all the aircraft. And the FAA director said, well, we've never done that. I'm not sure we can do that. And we said, well, try. And it worked. We got every aircraft down in about an hour. There were like 2,400 aircraft aloft. There were aircraft coming in from Europe, which we landed in Canada.
Yeah.
Aircraft coming in from the Pacific, which we either turned around or landed in Canada. It was a very intense day where we went to nuclear alert. The first time since 1973 that we went to DEFCON 3. We buttoned down the country pretty quickly. We closed all the borders, closed all the harbors, because we didn't know what was coming next. There were 4 aircraft that had been hijacked. We initially were told the number was 11. And we were told one of them was headed toward us, toward the White House. And I think probably one of them was either headed toward us or the Capitol. And I'm not sure where it was going to go, one or the other. But it took a damn long time for us to get fighter aircraft over the city. Damn long time.
I watched them. I was in D.C. and I remember I was outside and they swooped down and I thought it was the enemy. I was face down literally in a field
I
in
kept
Washington.
screaming all morning for CAP, for Combat Air Patrol cover, and finally when they got it, just to prove to me that they did it, they had 2 F-15s go right over the White House at about 100 feet
Right.
off the ground.
I saw them.
Yeah.
Right.
I heard them.
That was something.
Yeah.
What was going through your mind? Because you, in a career that had built to that point for you, you'd been thinking about this. You chased Ramzi Youssef. I mean,
Look, we knew.
You knew it was bin Laden.
I knew it was bin Laden. I knew, for maybe 9 months from intelligence reporting that Al-Qaeda was planning a major attack on the U.S. CIA told me it would be overseas, but I had no reason to believe them. With their track record, they're not always right.
Right.
So we knew there would be a major Al-Qaeda attack. What we didn't know was where, when, exactly. I thought it would be around the first week in July. It was off a couple of months. Where, when, or how. We did not know that they were going to hijack aircraft, obviously.
Question was, how did you divert these airplanes on 9/11?
Yeah, the Canadians were the heroes of 9/11. We landed planes, giant 747s and things, in little towns in Labrador and Newfoundland that had runways long enough. And there weren't hotels to take those thousands of Americans. And what happened that day was Canadians took the passengers into their homes. Thousands of Canadians literally opened their homes to passengers who were stranded. And, you know, if you remember, we did not start flying again the next day. I didn't want to reinitiate flying until we had decent security at the airports. And we didn't have TSA. We had to invent TSA after that. So we had to put together an ad hoc version of TSA, and it took about 4 days to do that. And if you remember, the first few days we did resume flying. That was a little rough. Probably took you 3 hours to get through security at the airports. But so the Canadians were stuck with thousands of people for several days. And the Canadian government was great, absolutely great.
You know, we have here Pete Cornell, who at the time was running all of operations for AT&T, and we felt like we planned for everything. And the first page of when New York City switches go down is fly new resources into the area.
Right.
And we went, oh,
Yeah.
we didn't account for that.
No.
So that was an issue.
But you know, your industry also stepped up in a big way. All of the carriers, you know, Verizon, AT&T, you know, and people from other parts of the country, all moved equipment to New York.
Yeah.
And the president wanted the stock market to reopen as soon as possible. And we couldn't. You know, just the connectivity was shot because of the damage that was done in the attack. And he said, okay, look, you got to get it open by Monday or Tuesday of next week. So, as you may remember, we laid fiber optic cable down the sidewalk.
Yeah, I do remember.
We just closed Lower Manhattan and no time to dig trenches. We just laid fiber optic cable down the street. Yeah. And got the market up enough so that we could do a test on Monday and open the market again on Tuesday. So it was from Tuesday to Tuesday. It was closed because, frankly, there was no connectivity. But everybody that showed up, you know, needed to have a badge to get through the police lines. And Verizon just gave everybody a badge that said Verizon, whether you're from AT&T or Level 3 or whoever. Verizon badged everybody.
It's an amazing time.
It worked.
You know, another thing I remember, Verizon, AT&T, all of us, we had our trucks in New Jersey, and we all had logos on our trucks. And the government came and said, you can't have logos on these things. That becomes a target. So we bought these big blankets and put them over, like it looked like all these tablecloths on all these things. The most bizarre thing I ever saw in my life, because nobody had ever thought, you know, don't put your logo on the truck.
Look, we overreacted to the attack.
Yeah.
Because we were traumatized.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, you talked about the Dick Cheney movie that's coming out on Christmas Day. It's perfect timing. Nice cheery movie for Christmas Day. I think in that movie, you'll probably see him going through a metamorphosis and overreacting. We did. We overreacted in a lot of ways because we didn't know how big the threat was. We didn't know what would be coming next.